You may have seen this novel floating around online and you may even think that the cover looks kind of familiar. That's because it was written by Ali Hazelwood, who wrote the Raylo fanfic turned mainstream novel, The Love Hypothesis. Now, I read The Love Hypothesis ages ago when it was like the TikTok sensation, and I won't lie, I kind of enjoyed it. It was fun sometimes, and for lack of a better word, I quite enjoy quirky novels every now and again. I cannot say the same for the book that followed, Love on the Brain. I really did not gel with Love on the Brain, and I cannot tell you much about it besides the fact that the main character wore a white vest top for most of the story, and I think that's criminal. So yeah, evil. Afterwards I told myself I'd never read another Ali Hazelwood novel again, and it's like they heard me. Let me tell you a little story. A few months ago, I was in Waterstones and I saw it on display and I embarrassingly ran towards it. Now I didn't clock it was Miss Hazelwood until after I read the blurb because I was kind of distracted by the fact that it contained like some of my favourite content, which is vampires. I grew up with Vampire Diaries, Twilight, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, even stuff like Teen Wolf and Supernatural. Like, what do you expect of me? This is my genre. But then, let me just pick up the book for this. Then I realised it was spelled like with a Y, vampire, and I promptly put it back down. Like I laughed out loud and I walked away with no attachment from that experience, or so I thought. A few weeks later I was entering my finals and I like to do this thing when I have deadlines called wasting time. Like sometimes I'll read like a light-hearted novel, and before I knew it I had ordered Bride and I couldn't laugh at myself because it was already in my hand. So that's how we got here. Now you may have picked up on the fact that I said this was a few months ago. I have already started to read it. Let me show you. I got halfway through and I'm just going to straight up give you my verdict right now. I don't like it. I'm not liking it. So since these events have happened, I have finished my finals. I've not finished this book. But one thing about me, I don't like to leave things. That's a lie. That's a lie. I don't like to leave books unfinished. And this has been a stain on my reading repertoire, so I just want to get it out. I just want to get it done with, basically. And the only way I thought of finishing this novel was if I made a video. So yeah. The way I'm gonna do this video is the first half I'm gonna explain what I've read so far, use it as a kind of refresher, to, I don't know, try and remember things because I don't remember anything. And then the second half is going to be kind of like a little reading vlog, and I'm going to finish this and it'll be done and I won't have to think about it again. So yeah. However, before I attempt to use my dusty, burnt out, old, decrepit student brain to recall information, I'm going to give you some prior knowledge. Like most Ali Hazelwood novels, this novel can kind of be linked to a sort of fan fiction thing. In this instance, it's more of like an aspect. As far as I'm aware, I didn't do research, but as far as I'm aware, this is not based on like any fan fiction in particular. It could be, I don't know, but more of like a type of trope of fan fiction, which is the Omegaverse. You don't know what the Omegaverse is? I salute you for getting this far in life without finding out what the Omegaverse is. If you do know what it is, join me, my brethren. Now let me just say, I've never read an Omegaverse fanfiction. My only experience with the Omegaverse was when I was playing like a Girls Go Games like dress up thing, and I accidentally, my finger slipped and I slipped onto one of those like manhwa little webtoon things, and it was a Omegaverse, and I've been scarred ever since. The Omegaverse is like a sub-genre of fan fiction where basically humans are split into alphas, betas and omegas. Now if you are listening to this in the background, no, you have not accidentally clicked onto an Andrew Tate podcast. For some reason these two worlds have overlapped and now very masculine men use these terms. I don't know how it happened, it's kind of crazy, but whatever. To be honest, the Omegaverse isn't actually as big of a component in this novel as I thought it would be. To be honest, supernatural beings aren't that big of a component. I can commend an author for trying out different things, like stretching into the supernatural world, but for all intents and purposes, it's not the main basis of this novel, and we'll get into that. I'm kind of dreading explaining this. I read this in March. We're in June now. I do not remember a lot, so I'm gonna get things wrong. But I figure I cannot be bothered to go reread this, so you're just gonna have to deal with me like yapping. So that's what it is. First, let me break down the kind of supernatural elements. I figure that's the best place to start. Look how I'm holding this. Anyway, so you've got your vampires, spelled with a Y, which is just disgusting. These are basically just like a genetic modification of humans in which they drink blood. I think they have purple eyes maybe and have pointy ears. That's kind of it. They're also like kind of CEO fancy snobby people. They live in this big glass skyscraper. I don't know if they all live in this skyscraper. I really did not understand this. Did they all live there? Is that just their like their headquarters? I don't get it. But that's the vampires. Then you've got humans who are like, I guess, CIA, American Eagle flag waving people. I don't like, they're not really featured in this, at least what I've read. And then you've got werewolves, which are like, I guess I'm coming at this from a UK standpoint. The werewolves to me are like pure gym going, protein shake, Gymshark wearing, Bugatti driving guys, basically. Except they know a lot about tech and they live in the woods. And their house is like something out of Grand Designs, like Architectural Digest, that kind of vibe. Does that make sense? I don't know. We start off with our main character, who I can't remember the name of. I could read here, but I'm not going to, so I'm just going to call her Bree, because it's probably something like Bree. So Bree is the daughter of the kind of CEO vampire. She has a brother. I can't remember if they're twins or if they're just normal siblings. I don't know. The brother's not really mentioned much, but she is the daughter of the CEO, but she actually has a bad relationship with her father because of something that he made her do when she was a child. Basically, the humans and the vampires used to have like a coalition of sorts, and the way that they had this coalition was they would send a child from each being, I guess, to live in the opposite's territory. So a vampire child would go to the humans and a human child would go to the vampires, and this is done quite often. There's lots of children of like the coalition. I'm gonna guess that's what it's called, probably something like that. And Bree was actually one of these children. So her whole thing is that she struggles with her identity. She is not human enough for the humans, but she's not vampire enough for the vampires because she lived with the humans, suppressing her vampire needs, physiology, I don't know. She does not get along with the vampires, so she never actually left the human world. She stayed in the human world, and she had this girl who was her best friend, and I think her best friend's called Serena, maybe. Serena goes missing. We don't know why. She's a journalist, and it's kind of seemed like she was looking into something and then she disappeared, and Bree wants to find her. It's kind of like her little side quest because she's not taking this seriously, I'm not gonna lie. Bree gets called by her father back to the vampire community, and turns out he's not done with her. He says, "Hey girl, I know I sent you to be with the humans, now I got another job for you. I need you to marry the alpha of the werewolf pack, like a marriage of convenience." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay then, I guess that's okay. I guess this guy, Lloyd, is that his name? That's the main love interest. I guess Lloyd fucking whatever, what's his last name? Lloyd Werewolf. We're gonna call him Lloyd Werewolf. I guess Lloyd, what? Hold on. I'm gonna check their names. Oh. Okay, so her name's Misery and his name's Lo, but I was kind of close. He says this alpha guy's name basically, and she's like, oh, what? And he's like, what? And she's like, I'll do it. And he's like, what? I'll do the marriage. And he's like, what? Okay, works for me. I don't care. So then they're in this marriage of convenience, and this happens very early on. And I immediately knew I wasn't going to like this book when she went to her wedding in a jumpsuit. Just wear a suit. Just wear a suit. The jumpsuit is one of the worst. What is it with these characters having awful outfits? I was a jumpsuit. Whatever. She gets married in a jumpsuit to this alpha guy. And then she goes to the alpha territory and she starts living there, and she's not liked by the werewolves. They don't like her. She feels like an outcast once again. Oh yeah, trust. Because obviously she needs like to gain their trust somehow. So basically how that happens is Lo has a little sister, fucking Amber Lee, I don't know her name. He has this little sister, and they're having like a birthday party or something, and Misery, like Bree, whatever I'm gonna call her, she's in her room. She doesn't really leave the building, and she's out watching them from the window, and she sees one of the younger werewolf pack members take Amber Lee to the forest, and she's like, what is going on? So she goes out and she sees him carrying. She's like, stop. And then all the werewolves from Lo's pack jump out. Turns out this was a setup. They wanted this young werewolf member to take what am I saying? This sounds good. They wanted the younger werewolf member to take his younger sister because they knew that he was like a traitor, and they wanted to figure out where he was taking her. Don't know why he'd risk his little sister for that, but he did, because she was to be protective, but whatever. They kidnap they keep the younger werewolf member. They get the sister, and they're like, thanks for saving the sister, you didn't need to do that. Trust. She gains their trust more by doing like vampire things that can help them figure this shit out. Basically, Lo is the alpha of this pack, but there are other alpha people who want to take control over the werewolves. So he's this is like their political conflict, I guess. I don't know why we need that. So interesting. Eventually, Misery / Bree, her name's not Bree, by the way, I'm just calling her Bree. I'll use her normal name, Misery. Misery eventually opens up to Lo and basically tells him the reason she agreed to this marriage was because her friend went missing, and the last thing she wrote was the initials of his name, LM or something like that. And he's like, oh wait, no, it can't be LM. It was L something M. And he's like, those aren't my initials, those are my little sister's initials. And she's like, oh, development, I guess, whatever. So where I've left off, they've kind of teamed up a bit. I think they've actually kissed, maybe. It was something like they were in the office and they didn't want the people coming in and realising what they were doing, so he was like, kiss me. Sorry, it's so, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, that's basically where I am. I'm not enjoying it. It's so, I don't know, it's just, why did I buy this? I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna continue it, we're gonna finish it. It probably will not take me long. Yeah, you guys can watch me read it, I guess. I don't know. One more thing I forgot to mention in terms of context. The vampires don't trust that Misery will be safe just because she's Lo's wife. So they get the werewolves to send collateral. So while Misery is over with the werewolves have sent their own person, and Misery thinks that it's his mate, I guess. Because I guess that's another thing I should have said in the Omegaverse, they mate or whatever, they have a soulmate. I don't know. And she thinks that this girl is his mate. So there's a bit of miscommunication there because it's never actually stated. I wonder if she is. I wonder. She won't be. fuck is this? I was recording that, I just let out the most shocked laugh ever. Let me read you this quote. Most wear packs have highly organised investment portfolios. This book is fucking insane. Literally, Andrew Tate. I'm just... Is this Andrew Tate? I'm reading Andrew Tate fiction. What the hell? What the... Guys, I need to look this up. He's got a shaved head. No. Okay, it's been a month since I finished the novel. Yeah, and I forgot about this video. That is until I was recently startled by the buzzer to my flat, and like honestly, you don't understand how loud that shit is. Like, I thought I was under attack. I jumped up, I ran downstairs, and I went out to the door. There was no one there. There was no one there. The button had somehow been stuck in, and I came to the conclusion that it could have only been some sort of malevolent spirit. And what malicious spirits have been surrounding me recently? That novel. So it was telling me to just finish this video, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm finishing it now. Never do that again. It was so scary. 15 minutes of I was like, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. It was fine. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was a novel. One of the main reasons I picked up this novel was because of the like Omegaverse tendencies, the Omegaverse trope, and it really was not featured that much. Like, it is there throughout the background, but it's not that big a deal. I honestly found that it was pretty like inoffensive. Like, it was entertaining, but that was not the main aspect of the book, at least for me personally. To summarise the second half of the novel from where I left off, basically, where do I begin? It's been a month. Let's keep that in mind. But basically, Misery and Lo start a whole relationship. Lo is kind of scared to go out with her. That sounds so so mundane. He's scared to start anything because she is his mate, and she can't reciprocate that, like, biologically. So he is like he's trying to make it her decision, which by doing so he doesn't make it her decision, which we'll get into that. The mystery of where her best friend has disappeared continues alongside the mystery of Lo's little sister and who might be after her, because that's something that kind of goes throughout. They think it's the other werewolves, the other pack, but it's not. They really don't have anything to do with it. They're just kind of there. I can't even remember how that's resolved, so that's cool. Basically, I don't know if I said this in the first one, but Lo's little sister is half human, half werewolf, and that is important because she's seen as the only one. Turns out that's not the case. Misery's best friend is actually half human, half werewolf, and she was kidnapped by Misery's dad. Misery's dad wants to keep a hold on things, wants to keep the vampires in control, I guess. So in the background he's doing stuff. He gets one of Lo's like pack mates, his like right hand man, on his side because he kidnaps his son. And let me just say, I'm pretty sure this werewolf had more than one son. I think he had loads of children and a wife, and I'm just saying, I thought a wolf's loyalty to their alpha was like unbreakable. If this was real, that child would have been forgotten. I'm sorry. If I'm a loyal werewolf and it's my alpha or my child, Hey, don't, all that, I'm not gonna. Anyway, she finds her best friend because she gets thrown into like a fucking attic with her, and the two of them, they escape but are quickly recaptured, obviously, by the dad. What else happens? There's like this kind of standoff, they're like outnumbered. What they don't realise though, this whole thing, is that the half human, half werewolves can't shift. Except they can, they just didn't realise. So the best friend shifts, Lo shifts, they attack. They don't kill her father, or do they? I can't remember. I just know at the end there's this whole thing where like he's tied up and she's like, I've got nothing to say to you. And she walks out in her jumpsuit. Lo and Misery, happily ever after. Her best friend goes to live with the werewolves, kind of learn about her side. Her brother takes over as vampire CEO, and yeah, that's it. Happily ever after. I could like, there's probably other little things, but that's basically it. Let me think of anything that like I found enjoyable, and I don't mean that in a negative way. The book was, if I could finish the book, it means it wasn't bad. I'm just trying to think if there was anything that stood out to me as like pretty good. Maybe the mystery. The mystery was pretty smart. I enjoyed it. It was good, like it kept my attention, because if that had not been there, it wouldn't have. So the mystery was good. I liked the relationships between Misery and her best friend, even though we don't really see much of it, and Lo and his little sister. Those are cute. I thought the writing was pretty good. There was maybe like 3 moments where I was like, oh, don't know, it's not my favourite line. But apart from that, there was no moments where I was like, ah, or whatever. So the writing must have been pretty good. Either that or it just was going over my head, I don't know. There was one line I underlined. Let me find it for you. I actually have 2 lines for us, I think. On page 176, Misery is questioning about like some werewolf things, and Lo responds with the standard response of, it's a weird thing. So taking a leaf out of Jacob Black's page there, kind of appreciate that. Just fucking throw shit away, like, you know what, just like, it's a weird thing. I'm not gonna explain it to you. Are you a werewolf? No, you're a fucking mortal human being and you're a loser, so it's a weird thing. Anyway, I have found it. My favourite line, this is my favourite page 290. We get a little bit of lore about like the werewolf world. Like, they seem to have a lot of money. Where does this money come from? I think I read this out on my reading vlog, but I just need to, I need to say it again. Here we have Lo's response. Misery says, you're not serious, right, about robbing? He says, no. He opens the door for me. A lot of wares have jobs. Most wares. I had a job before his life became something his pack owned. Right. Most ware packs have highly organised investment portfolios. That's where the expenses for infrastructure and the leadership roles who don't have time to hold other jobs come from. This has to be some of the best fucking occult lore building I have ever read. Bitcoin. They crypto, they deal in crypto. They have a Revolut bank account and they are running up those stacks. Do you not that's so funny. That's in there for comedy. I just know it is. And this is why we go back to my earlier thing. Don't know if you guys remember where I said this is an Andrew Tate fan fiction. Because Lo has a buzz cut. Lo has a buzz cut. We've got mentions of crypto. He's also a man manipulator. He tricked me. From the beginning, I was like, he's pretty good. I like him. He's a nice love interest. Until the end. Not the very end, but like the bit before, like the third act conflict. They're in her old apartment and, you know, stuff happens. He does stuff with her and then he turns around, he's like, actually we can't be together. I don't like you, I think you're disgusting. And she's like literally in tears. And that is when I'm reminded, that is when I was reminded while reading this, he's just a man. He is just a man. He's a master manipulator. He's like, I want it to be your choice. Do you not think that by making the decision to remove yourself, like without a proper explanation, by lying to her, that is not allowing her to make her choice? Fucking men, man. I was very disappointed by that, because I'm not gonna lie, I liked him until the end. I do not like this man anymore. No, not for me personally. Nothing appealing. And then at the end when they rekindled, I couldn't even enjoy it, because I was like, he sucks. He is the worst. He done what men do. Besides that, I think the fact that I can't really recall much about this novel just kind of proves to me that, like, it did what it was supposed to for me. I bought this book in March to tide me over while I dealt with the stress of my own finals, exams, coursework, and it did that. Did I finish it before then? No, as we know, that's why I'm making this video. But the moments I spent were fine, inconsequential. The time I had to read this, I laughed, and that's all I can hope for from this book. It did what I wanted it to. I know I haven't really spoke about Misery. That's because I thought that she was good in the beginning, and then she kind of just, it became too much about Lo for me. I liked her a lot more when she wasn't with Lo. I liked her a lot more when she was with her best friend, actually, and I remember sitting there thinking, why can't they date? But of course that is not what happened. The best friend was not the love interest, but it would have been pretty good if she was. Closing thoughts. I think this will be my last Ali Hazelwood read. Do not quote me on that though, because maybe I'll get bored again, or maybe I'll get stressed. Because these types of books, like the Ali Hazelwood books, they do bring me a little bit of joy. Like, they do bring me a little bit of joy. Okay, when I'm stressed and I'm like, let me just read something it's not there to create puzzles in my mind. Although the mystery did have my mind working, it's just something I want to read for enjoyment, and it worked. It did that for me. But I don't know if I'll ever read one again. I'm unsure. I wish I had more to say. This feels pretty anticlimactic now. I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye. This looks like the fuck ass background, like something's gonna jump out that little